Next, model layer. So basically I told you the model take care of the data manipulations and data processing, anything. So basically this happens in the front end as well as in the back end. So in the back end we write, we also do so much of manipulations for the data, right? So even the CRUD operations, and before insertion of the data into the table, you might be doing some processing, right? So that entire thing comes under the model layer. And similarly in the front end also you will do some processing, right? So for example, the dates. So let us take the example of dates. The date, when it is coming from the back end, so it comes in a very weird format, like GMT plus 5:30, 4th June 2024. So like that it comes in a very weird lengthy format, correct? So instead of that lengthy format, the clients may say, please display simply in dd-mm-yyyy. So in such a simple format, they may ask you to display, right? So in such a case, we need to format that particular date. So formatting the date is nothing but data manipulation. So you are manipulating the data, right? So let me show you this. So do you think the date is coming in this format from the backend? No, the date is not coming in this format from the backend, but we have done the manipulation in the front end. So similarly, this skill is colored. You can see SAP UI5 in red color, so indicates it's a hot in the market, and orange color ABAP, so indicates evergreen in the market. So something like that. Okay, so even this one we have applied the color on top of the data that we are getting from the backend. Okay, so like this you can still do some manipulations to the data. So that thing you will understand. Even you can see this particular currency, so it is having comma. Actually, when currency is coming from the backend, it is not coming along with this comma. So we have kept the comma in the front end. Okay, so how to do that you will understand during those particular topics. Okay, so that is what basically this model layer stands for. Inside this model layer we write this data formatting, data manipulating related code. Okay, so let me give the description here. Data formatting dash manipulating. So manipulating, data formatting, both are same basically. So we'll write data formatting related code here. Okay, so that's the purpose of model layer. Okay, next. So once the MVC layers are over, that is model layer, view layer, controller layer are over. So let's see the remaining. So CSS, I want to talk about this CSS at the end. So why I kept this at the end, you will understand in few minutes. Okay, so by the end of the class. Now let us take the next folder in sequence, that is I18N. Actually, I18N stands for internationalization. So whether you know it or not, why this is called internationalization? The full form of I18N is internationalization. The first letter in this word is I, the last letter in this word is N, and in between this I and N there are 18 characters, there are 18 letters. If you want you can count down. Okay, so this is the reason why this I18N is, the full form of I18N is nothing but internationalization. Very few people, when I take the interviews, normally I just casually ask this question, not as a deciding factor for the interview, but I casually ask, so why this I18N is called internationalization? Is there any reason in that? Okay, so most of the people have not answered. Actually, this is the reason. Okay, the first letter and last letter, and in between there are 18 letters available in this word internationalization. So that is the reason this is called I18N. Right, so what is this I18N and why we use it? If the client is having the business in various regions of the world, he will develop the application in we want this application visual labels and all in various languages. So for example, let me log out here. So I'm signing out. So I'm just logging in again. So this time, instead of selecting the language English, I will select the language Chinese. So click on log on. I will open my employee management application again. So let me open employee management application. Now you can see the title is coming in Chinese. So what about the other? So as a matter of example, I have shown you how to maintain the translations for one text. Actually, you need to maintain the language translation for all these visual text, all the visual text. Okay, so even the table columns, everything we need to maintain. So maintaining the language translations for each language in which the client wants the application. So this entire process is called as internationalization. So here you can see this in Chinese. So if I log out here, for example, I want to log in German. So we maintain for both German and Chinese. So German means D, login. So once again, I will open employee management application. Now you can see the title appears. See, this is Meter Suchen. I don't know what is it, but it's a German language. So saying employee search. Okay, so that is the meaning of this. Now you might be wondering why only this one is getting changed, why not others? Because see, this was having so many labels. Okay, so in the class I will show you with one label and you need to maintain for all the other labels as well. So see, once we understand how to maintain the translation, it is same for any number of labels, right? So that's the reason only this is getting changed. For others I have not maintained. So you need to maintain in real time. Okay, so this is the biggest boring job in the real time if the clients are having their business in multiple regions. Okay, right. So this entire process is called internationalization, and there is a separate topic in our curriculum regarding this internationalization. So at that time you will understand. So supporting your application for multiple languages. Next is test folder. So this particular test folder, even though this is present, actually the usage of test folder is nil. Nobody uses the test folder in the real time. So let me tell you what is the purpose of this test folder. In case you want to test your application with some dummy data, with some local data, so then you use this particular test folder. Generally, in real time, we always test our application with the real data, because even though you test with the dummy data, again the client will ask you to test with the real data. So there is no point and no sense in testing your application with some dummy data, correct? So that's why even though this folder is available, the usage of this folder is nil. Okay, right. So now the folders are over. So let's come to the files. So the files remaining inside the web app folder are component.js, index.html, and manifest.json. So whatever the other files you can see here, they are not part of the web app folder. Let me show you. Only till index.html and manifest.json, so they are part of the web app folder. So whatever the files like gitignore, packagelog.json, so they are outside the web app folder. So let me minimize and show you. You can see once I minimize the web app folder, you will find the remaining files. Okay, so we'll come one by one. Now component.js. So what is component.js? This particular file component.js make your project wrapped as a component, one single SAP UI5 component, one application as one component. Okay, one like a software component, one piece of component. So that is what it does. And it also acts like a global controller. It also acts like a global controller. So what do you mean by acting like a global controller? So I told you two things about component.js. So first one is the component.js wrap your application like a component. So wrapping your application like a component means what? So let's say I have a gift article. Maybe I have a phone, for example. Now I want to make this phone as a gift article, okay, gift item. So what you will do? You will keep this particular phone inside a box, and then you wrap that with a nice attractive cover, right? So we call that as gift wrapper or gift cover, right? So and then you keep some badge over there saying that best wishes from so and so, right? So this is what you did. So you made your mobile as a one gift item, correct? So similarly, your component.js wrap your application like a component. So it go and deploy as one component, okay, right? So that is one thing your component.js will do. And second thing, what it does is it also acts like a global controller. Now what is acting like a global controller? So let's go and understand with the example. So let's say guys, this is my view 1 and this is my view 2. So let me write it here. This is my view 1 and this is my view 2. So obviously when you have the views, you will have the controllers as well. So this is the view 1 controller and this is the view 2 controller. So view 1 controller and this is the view 2 controller. Okay. Now as a matter of example, let us assume that there is a drop down called country. So there is an example called, there is a drop down called country. Now this drop down should contain all the country values to be filled with. So now what I need to do to fill this particular drop down with all the country values? So I need to hit the backend, get all the country values and load them into the drop down. So I need to write the business logic in the view 1 controller. So we know that any functionality of the view 1, we need to write the code in the view 1 controller. And any functionality of the view 2, we need to write in view 2 controller. So what the code I will write? I will write the code for getting all country values from backend. So this particular logic I write in view 1 controller. Now let's assume the same drop down is still available here as well. So same to same drop down it wants. There is no change in the data. So this is same drop down in the view 2. Now to get the data of this particular drop down values, the view 2 controller need to write the same logic, and that is code to get all the country values again from the backend. So once you get the values from the backend, you will populate those values in this drop down. Now here the duplication of the same logic is happening, correct? Why are you writing the same code again and again? You already written in the view 1 controller. But the problem here is these controllers are private in nature, means the controllers can talk only to its view and view can talk only to its controller. One controller cannot talk to other controller. So this is the problem. Okay. So you can't execute this particular logic. So whatever the logic you have written in the view 1 controller, you can't execute from view 2. So the reason being is SAP has clearly given this view 1 controller as private. Means, so view and its controller can talk to each other, but one view cannot talk to the other view's controller. Okay. So that is where the component.js will help you. The component.js act like a global controller. So this is component.js in the middle. So instead of writing the same logic here as well as here, so what we do is, so we simply keep this particular logic here in the component.js. And since component.js is a global controller, anybody can call, anybody can reach the component.js, anybody can store the data in the component.js, anybody can execute the logic that you have written inside component.js. So this particular drop-down will get the data from this logic, and even this drop-down will also get the data from this logic itself. Okay, so like this, the component.js can act like a global controller. Got it? So whatever the methods or functions, so you can call that as functions or methods. So whatever the functions that you keep in component.js, whatever the methods that you keep inside component.js, they become global. Global means anybody can call, any view can call, any controller can call. Okay, that is the meaning. All right, now you understand what is component.js. Next one is index.html. The index.html is the starting point of execution, my dear friends. Starting point of execution. So your SAP UI5 application starts its execution from this index.html file. And believe me, this is the only HTML file you will find in SAP UI5. And moreover, you will not write any code inside this HTML file. So you will understand the details in the next class. But so basically, index.html is the starting point of execution, triggering point of execution. Okay. So I hope you understand. Basically, the meaning is your execution of your application starts from index.html. Manifest.json. So manifest.json is a configuration file. So this contains some configuration related to your application. So what is that configuration? So again, the configuration is divided into 3 parts. So you will understand each part in detail. Okay, right. See, as I mentioned, today's class is just to understand the structure. We are going to understand, we are going to open each and every file, and every file contains some skeleton code. So all those things are separate classes. Okay, so today's class agenda is to understand the structure, as I already mentioned. So you need to understand in one line what is what. Okay, inside that particular file what it contains. So those are separate classes. Okay, all right. So with this we have completed the web app folder structure. So till here it is web app folder structure. So during the deployment also, only this particular web app folder and its contents gets deployed to the SAP Gateway server. Now let us see the files which are outside the web app folder. These files will not go along with the your web app folder. So they have a separate purpose within Business Application Studio. So what is that purpose? Let us understand. The first file, gitignore. The gitignore file, normally the SAP Business Application Studio, after after the development, you need to push this particular code. You will push this particular code into this web application server. That is one thing. And at the same time, you can also save this particular code in a code repository. Some people might be knowing what is code repository and some people may not be. So let me just explain about this. So this is Business Application Studio, SAP BAS, and this is my SAP Gateway system. This is SAP Gateway system. Now there is something called code repository. So your GitHub is a code repository, right? So you might have heard about GitHub. So you might have heard about Bitbucket. So like this, there are some code repositories. Okay, so we call them as code repositories. So we can also call this as version maintain server kind of thing. So basically, what is the purpose of this code repository? Once your development is over, you will deploy your source code into this server. So web app folder and its contents, only web app folder and its contents will go here. Web app and its contents will go here. But you will also push this particular project code into the code repository. So this code repository will contain full structure, complete structure. Okay, web app folder, node modules, git ignore, package log.json, everything it contains, all the structure. The purpose of the code repository is to store your entire code as well as it maintains the versions. So today I have written a button, for example. So today I have written button and tomorrow I have written some table. Now for example, I don't want table, I want to go with the button again. So you can go to the code repository and check out only the button version, okay, so that the table code will not come into the Business Application Studio. So that is altogether called code repository and all. So normally in real time you will find this one. Some clients will maintain, some clients will not maintain. Okay, it is up to them. So some clients will just take the export download of this one and they just ignore code repository. And some standard clients will be there. So they definitely maintain this code repository as well. Okay. So web app folder and its contents, even you can bring from here. You can bring from this here, but the entire structure you can get only from the code repository. Because during that development, the Business Application Studio tool will be there. But after the development, he may not need this Business Application Studio. This comes with a cost, right? So clients, what normally they do, they take the license only when it is needed. When it is not needed, they don't pay the money. So Business Application Studio may not be there. And again, when they want to do some changes, again they take the Business Application Studio license. So at that time, so once I have taken the Business Application Studio later, I will take the code from the code repository. I will take the code from code repository. Got it? So those people who do not have the code repository, so what they do is they take the code from this server. But when you take in the code from this particular server, you get only web app and its contents. You will not get the other files. Other files you need to, you need to create on your own or generate on your own. Okay. So that is one drawback if you do not have the code repository. So I hope you understand. Most of the people, they get confused between code repository and this server. See, this is web application server. This is web application server. This is just a code repository. So both are not same at all. Okay. All right. So basically why we are discussing about this, git ignore. So this particular git ignore is a file which instructs your repository, which will instruct your repository to ignore some files. Okay. So for example, if I open this git ignore, so it is saying so to ignore all these files or folders. Okay. So it is saying, boss, you ignore node modules, which is a folder. So you can see here, there is something called node modules. So these are nothing but the complete libraries that are required, which are delivered by SAP for this SAP UI5 application. These are not normally huge in number. So you can see they are huge in number and they need not to be saved in your code repository. It is unnecessary to store that in the code repository. So it is saying ignore the node modules. So similarly, it is saying to ignore few things. So that's why basically the file simply instructs your code repository to ignore some files and folders. Okay, that is get ignored. And package log.json and package.json. So they contain some. So let me just open the package.json. So they contain some start scripts to run your application. So these things you can ignore at this moment. You will understand in future. So basically they contain some start scripts. So they contain some start scripts as well as they just contain some name, version. Okay. So version means not SAP UI5 version of this project, this application. Okay, so similarly some dependencies, dependent any node modules, all those things will be written here. So mainly start scripts will be there. So what is start script means? Running your application in various ways. So that is what is start script meant by. So that you will understand in future. Don't worry on that. And similarly, there is something called UI5.aml, UI5local.aml. So these files contains information about your SAP gateway system. So these files maintain your system details, like your SAP gateway system. It has to connect, right? So those details will be maintained in this particular files, to which gateway system you are connecting to. So development is going on here, okay, but your OData service is present in SAP gateway system. So during the development, your business application studio need to connect to this OData service, correct? Without connecting to the OData service, can you develop end-to-end application? No, not possible, right? So during this development, the business application studio need to connect these OData services. So those details to which OData service you are connecting, so those details are maintained in this AML file. So README is just a README default file. It just contains some introduction about the project. That's okay, nothing much. All right, now we discussed the entire structure of the project, but we did not discuss a folder called CSS. Okay, so why I did not discuss about the CSS folder, let us understand now. So basically the CSS stands for beautification. You can apply some colors, you can apply some fonts, margins, all these things you can do by using CSS. Okay, so basically you can write the CSS coding inside this particular file related to colors, related to fonts, related to margins and all. Then what is the reason why I did not explain about this? So there is some recommendation from SAP about this CSS. So what is that recommendation? Do not apply any CSS, especially related to colors. So this is the recommendation from SAP. That means in your CSS, SAP's recommendation is to keep this CSS as empty as possible. You heard it correct. SAP says, boss, keep this CSS file as empty as possible, means do not write any CSS. Why? What is the reason why SAP is suggesting not to write the CSS, especially related to colors? The reason is, if you apply the CSS related to colors or related to any other things as well. So let's say this is one application. I applied some colors for the web pages. So let's say some red color, yellow color as a background color. So I applied some color. Okay. Now tomorrow another application has come. So in another application, again, if you apply some other color, for example, okay, then each and every application with a different color or even with the same color also, you need to write again and again the CSS in this particular file, right? And at the end of the day, all your applications are kept in Fiori Launchpad. So I hope you know about Fiori Launchpad. If you do not know, I will explain what is Fiori Launchpad. SAP Fiori Launchpad is a single entry point. It's a single entry point where the end users will log in and all the applications for which they have access, they can see all the applications at one place. So that is what is Fiori Launchpad. It's a single entry point where end users will log in with their username and password and they can access all the applications at one place. Now the problem is, if you start applying colors in your CSS file, now when I open employee management application, it looks in a different color. When I open create bulk employees, it appears in a different color. So like this, if you are keeping on applying colors for your individual applications, at the end of the day, all the applications will come and sit in Fiori Launchpad. Now, how ugly your Fiori Launchpad and its applications will look. Correct? So that is the reason SAP strongly recommends, boss, if you are applying the CSS for the individual applications, then entire Launchpad becomes a mess. It won't look uniform. Okay, so do not write any CSS if possible. That is a strong recommendation from SAP. And even if you are writing the CSS, then do not write any CSS especially related to the colors. If you want some margin or if you want some font related, then you write it. Okay, but not related to colors. Now you may get one more doubt. This one, if that means we need to be happy with the colors that are given by SAP, not needed. See, SAP gives something called themes. SAP gives something called themes, so which are actually standard SAP themes. So what do you mean by standard SAP themes? The standard SAP themes, each theme is nothing but one color combination. Okay. If you SAP already giving beautiful themes which end users apply to their entire Launchpad. Once a theme is applied, all the tiles, all the applications within the Fiori Launchpad, they appear in the same color. Okay, so entire Launchpad looks uniform. If you do not like any theme given by SAP, then you can also create something called custom theme. So generally from the client side, they themselves create the custom theme and they apply it to the Launchpad. As a developer, you can also create a custom theme and apply it to the Launchpad. So no coding required in order to do this. So let me show you. So here in the Launchpad, there is something called settings. So in the settings, there is something called appearance. Now under the appearance, the SAP's standard themes will be available anyway. See, all these are the themes. So you can apply the SAP's given themes here. Along with the SAP's given theme, if you have developed any custom theme, so even that is available here. For example, this is Billy's Deep. So let me go with, for example, Quad Light. So this is standard SAP theme. See, this is Quad Light, how it appears. So the entire look and feel has changed now. So this is no more the previous colors. So even if you go to any application, the same thing will appear. Okay. So now again, I'm going to the settings. This time I will open a custom theme. How do you identify which is a custom theme, which is standard theme? The standard SAP themes start with the word SAP. Okay. So your themes will, you can have any name like red, for example. So let me click this, save. Now you can see your application entire launchpad is appearing in a different color. Even the internal colors are also automatically adjusted. So go to any application, it looks like that. So this red color theme is a custom theme. So similarly, I can go here. I can go to appearance and for example, let me go with Amazon Gold, for example. So now you can see this is again a custom theme. Totally different theme. So even if I click on this, so now you can see the application is appearing like anything, right? So like this, so this is the main reason why SAP said, boss, don't write any CSS, keep this CSS file as empty as possible. So if you want any, colors and all, you use my themes which I am giving. And even if you still do not like the themes that I am providing, so SAP is also giving beautiful themes. So if you do not like my themes, then please create your own theme, just like this fellow has created. So one of my students has created this theme, and you can apply that particular theme to the entire launchpad so that all the applications looks the same. Okay, so that is a concept, and this is the reason I highlighted this CSS in red line. So red line indicates do not apply CSS. This is one way good for the developers. The reason is developers no need to write the CSS nowadays. Not only nowadays, from the beginning the SAP's concept is always same. Keep instead of writing the CSS, you go with the theming concept. Theming, applying the theming. Okay. Because CSS means you need to write for every individual application, which is very difficult. But if you go with the theming concept, so same theme if you apply for the launchpad, automatically all the applications that are present inside the launchpad, all of them will be of the same theme, right? And one more thing is, SAP's standard applications, they comes only with the SAP's SAP's color combination, means SAP's themes. So you can't customize the CSS inside your standard applications, right? So in that way also, this is not good. Writing the CSS is not good, because standard applications, they support only the standard themes. Okay, so that's all for today.